Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Come on into the webinar. My name is Linda Peavy, and I am the founder of LaPav Consulting. I'm going to be your hostess with the mostest tonight while we talk about grant writing and securing grants for your Black-led nonprofit or your Black-owned business. So I am in, chilly Ohio, where it's like 22 degrees. So it's like really cold here. So as you come in, give your city or your state a shout out and let me see who is joining us this evening. Again, I'm Linda Peavy. I'm the founder of LaPav Consulting, and I'm going to be your hostess for this evening. So give me a hello into the chat and let's see who's with us this evening. Yeah, so use the chat to just say hello. There we are, Belleville, Michigan. Hello, Alicia. Leslie from Missouri is with us. Hey, Jacqueline Glass. How you doing? Arlene in Chicago. Hey, Tracy from Mansfield, Texas. And Nishik, I hope I pronounced that right, from New Orleans. Hey, Laura is from Cleveland, Ohio. We got Cleveland in the house. That's where I am. I'm in Northeast Ohio, which is where Cleveland is located, right outside of Cleveland. So we've got a Cleveland girl with us. Hey, Jay in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have a Kristen from Charlotte, North Carolina. And Samuel, hey, Linda, class of 81. All right, I think we got a rebel in the house. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. We are going to talk about how you go about writing research and securing grants for your Black-led nonprofit or your Black-owned business. And those of you who know me know that this is going to be a no-fluff zone. It is going to be packed full of information for the next maybe hour and 15 minutes. And we're going to get started. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you just a quick video of my television commercial so that you have a little bit more information about me and who I am and what I do. And then we're going to get right into this webinar because I have so much information to share with you. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen. And as I always say, it's like, come through, technology, come through. So let's get to it. All right. So there we are. And we're ready to go. We are ready to roll.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of LaPav Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We work with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how LaPav Consulting can help.
All right, so that was just a 30-second commercial that I did just to give you some more information about LaPav Consulting and what I do. And first of all, what we want to do is make sure everybody's in the right place. So this is grant writing for your Black-owned business or Black-led nonprofit. And we are going to get started. All right. So before we go too much further, I have a lot of information to share with you. So what I want you to do as I go along, please, please, please ask questions. I have my assistant Kelsey here to help. Ask questions in either the chat or the Q&A. So it doesn't matter, either one. We're going to have a fantastic Q&A at the end. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere because I have a surprise for you. And we're going to do a Q&A. And those of you who know me know that at the end of this presentation, I stay until every question is answered. All right. So let's get started. So be sure, put those questions in the Q&A or the chat. So I'm known as the grants queen. Why? Because I have been securing grants for, it's been over 14 years now. In this January, I celebrate 15 years of owning my own business full-time with LaPav Consulting. And I have secured And you know there's a difference right between writing a grant and securing a grant. I have secured over $17 million in funding and business development. So I've done everything from write those requests for proposals, I've written the scoring templates, but I also help organizations to create partnerships. I also provide grant writing workshops for organizations like the Urban League and the Council of Smaller Enterprises. And I'm a very proud Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses alumni. But yes, I have a small business, but I'm also the former executive director of a nonprofit. So for you nonprofits out there, I know how you feel. So let me know exactly who's with me. Are you a for-profit business, or are you a nonprofit? Or, and this is what I'm finding out, that there are so many for-profits that are now starting nonprofits. So are you both? So let me know who's with me. Are you a nonprofit or a for-profit, or maybe you're both? So put into the chat and let's see who we have with us. All right. We have a nonprofit, for-profit, oh, hey, both. Bessie, both. Absolutely. Monique says for-profit, nonprofit, both. Excellent. So as I go through the webinar, there's going to be information for you, whether or not you are nonprofit or whether or not you are a for-profit. So get ready. A little bit more about my journey to getting to the $17 million. I used to be a publishing executive in Pennsylvania. I did that job for about 10 years and I got hurt. And then I had to move back to Cleveland, Ohio. It took me literally 2 years to recuperate, came back to Cleveland, literally in a wheelchair. And after 2 years of recuperating, I couldn't find a job. I had all this experience, right, in marketing and publishing, but I couldn't find a job because if you can imagine, like Cleveland, Ohio, is not exactly the publishing mecca of the world. So I found myself without a job. So I started LaPav Consulting because I like to eat, right? And I needed a roof over my head. It was a necessity. So what about you? For you for-profit business owners, did you start because it was a dream of yours to have your own business? Or like me, maybe it was out of necessity. So let me know in the chat, was this like a dream for you to just one day, have your own business, or did you have to do it, right? Because you just weren't given any other chance. Dream, Tracy says dream, Laura says dream, excellent. Tanya says dreaming. Oh my gosh, I got a bunch of dreamers with me. Yay, 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 yay. This is like fantastic. Well, what I found out is that once I started my business, one of my first jobs was become an executive director of a nonprofit. And I started the job, and literally right within the first week, I was called into the board office, the board member's office, and I was told that I had to write a grant literally to save my job. It's like, hello, nobody told me that in the job interview. I barely even knew what a grant was, had never written a grant in my life before, but all of a sudden I needed to write a grant to literally save the position of the executive director, which was my position, right? But I did it. I learned how to write a grant. I saved my position. I saved the organization. But what I really discovered was that there is a connection, right, between learning how to write grants and getting the cash that you need for your organization. Whether it's service-based or product-based, there is a connection there between knowing how to write grants and then getting the funding that you need. But there's a process, and I'm going to show you the process tonight. So this is what we're going to cover. Like, why did you take this class? Why is it important? What are really the 3 keys to funding? I'm going to go over some grant basics, and then we're going to show you how do you prepare to apply for a grant application, because there's a process, right? Before you write, during the grant application, and then after the grant application. So what to write, how to write. And for those of you who are really looking at providing bid proposals when you're bidding on contracts, I have some information for you, a little bit about capacity statements. But how do you get noticed? Like, we know that there's competition, right? When it comes to grant applications, there's a sea of competition, right? So how does your grant application really get noticed? Now, also, how do you really conduct grant research so that you are matching yourself with a funder who wants to give you money, right? And then we're going to give you a list of some available funding, right, for nonprofits and for for-profits as they pertain to Black-owned organizations. And then whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because I have a bonus surprise for you at the end. So don't go anywhere. All right, so why this class? Well, we know that Black nonprofits and entrepreneurs, we need help with funding, right? We don't always want a loan. We want free money. Hello, that's what a grant is, free money. And we know that there's a lack of qualified professional freelance grant writers to help nonprofits and for-profits, because there is a difference between a professional grant writer and someone who writes grants, right? And grant writing can be costly. So when you get to my particular level, you know I've secured over $17 million. A grant writer at my level, we charge anywhere between $100 to $200 per hour to write grants. So I want you to be able to learn these skills yourself, right? So that you can place your organization in the absolute best position to win grants. Because at the end of the day, like, nobody's going to tell your story better than you. But here's the secret. You don't have to be a professional grant writer to secure grants. What do you need to know? You need to know the process. And so I am here to show you the process. Now we're going to talk about the 3 keys to being able to really fund your mission. One is what to write. Where do you write in that application that's really going to showcase your organization? How do you write? Like, what are the key words? How is it that you're expressing and showing your organization the best? And then we're going to talk about how do you attract really the right funder, because that is key. You want to attract a funder who literally wants to be able to give you funding. Now, 2 different incidents completely changed the landscape of philanthropy. One was COVID-19, right? Before COVID-19, it was unheard of for a for-profit business to get grants, right? When you thought about grant money, you thought about nonprofits. But because of COVID-19, you had many of the large foundations, as well as your major corporations, like your Fortune 500 corporations, looking at what COVID-19 was doing to us small businesses. I'm sure you know a business that went under. Small businesses were just no longer able to operate. Some of us were forced to shutter, right? And so we were closing at an unbelievable rate. And so foundations and these larger corporations wanted to do something to help small businesses and especially minority-owned businesses. So they started creating pools of grant money. And that's why now more so than ever, you're in such a phenomenal position, right, to get grant funding. It was competitive in 2022. It'll be competitive now. So that's why it's important to know how to write. And a lot of the emergency COVID money has been spent, but there is a significant portion out there that is for recovery. So in other words, how did COVID-19 affect you and how are you able to recover from COVID-19? You want to be able to talk about that if you ever come across any COVID-19 grant funding. Next, the other factor, the George Floyd incident. So when George Floyd was murdered, once again, you had foundations and major corporations saying, what can we do to address racial injustice? We have to do something. And one of the easiest things for them to do, we'll keep it real, right, is to put money and pour money on it. And so that's exactly what they did. They created, again, these large pools of cash, right, in the form of grants, which is why right now, as a minority-owned organization or minority-led business, I've never seen this many grants available for you as a Black-owned business or a Black-led nonprofit because, again, of foundations and corporations creating grant funds available to you because they wanted to do something to address racial injustice. You might have heard of diversity, equity, and inclusion a lot. There's a lot of grant money available just in the area of DEI. So maybe your organization is helping the homeless or is addressing somehow racial injustice or some type of social cause, right? You're going to be qualified just by the nature that you are Black-owned or Black-led, particularly if you are a woman-owned Black business. There's so much money available for you now. So now I'm just going to go through some grant basics. So what you need to know is that grants are not paid back, right? Now, if you are a nonprofit, hear me out. You are going to need your 501c3. This is critical, right? The good news is that it's far easier to get now than ever has been before. A couple of years ago, it was taking 3 to 6 months to get your 501c3. Now it's taking 6 to 8 weeks to get your 501c3. What is it? We know that's the tax exempt charitable designation by the Internal Revenue Service that says you're tax exempt, but also if your donors are providing donations and funding to you, they can write those donations off as a charitable deduction. You want to make sure you go to the irs.gov/charities to get your 501c3 started. Whatever you do, really avoid fiscal agents, right? So the fiscal agent is another nonprofit that has this 501c3. So in the interim, while you are getting your 501c3, they're going to be handling money for you. However, the issue is many foundations do not want to give grant funding at all to fiscal agents. They don't want a third party involved. If they're giving you money based on your program or your project, they want it to go directly to you. So I always ask that you try to avoid using a fiscal agent. If at all possible, go through the steps of getting your 501c3 for you so that you can apply for the grant on your behalf. Now, more grant basics, and I want you to pay attention to this number. Look at foundation giving in 2021. It increased, okay, to $90 billion. That was a 3.4 increase from 2020. Too many people think that the grant money is not available, that there's no money out there. Oh, we've been through a pandemic, the money is gone. People, the money is there. And that $90 billion is going to increase, right, when they do the 2022 numbers. But look, do we need it all? Do we need all of the $90 billion? No, we don't. We just need a little bit. Okay, we just need a little bit of the $90 billion. And I want you to say this into the chat. I just need a little bit. Right? You don't need the whole 90 billion. We can just give you a little bit of the $90 billion. Think about what you could do with that funding. So put into the chat, I just need a little bit. I just need yes, Jackie says just a portion. That's all. Leslie says just a little bit. Sam says just a little bit. That's all we need. Yes, just a little bit. We don't want to get greedy, right? We don't need the whole $90 billion. We just want a little bit. And I'm here to show you, right, how to get a little bit of that $90 billion. So grant basics, now we're on to how do you prepare? This is the one mistake so many organizations make, right? They see a grant application, they download it and they write it and they send it off and they wonder why, a month later, 2 months later, they get a rejection letter. You have to prepare for writing. So we know that there's 5 basic writing skills. We won't go through all of them. I want to focus on editing and rewriting because what I don't want you to do is submit a grant application full of grammatical errors, right? I'm a professional writer and a professional editor, and I use a software program called Grammarly. I'm going to be spilling the tea, so get that teacup ready. This is your first cup of tea. So Grammarly is a phenomenal software tool that edits your documents for you. You can download it into Word. It doesn't matter if you have an Apple or a regular PC. Grammarly is a phenomenal tool that will help you write better. And this particular article is fantastic. So this is your first homework. I want you to download this article when we're done. Improve writing skills dramatically by doing these 15 things. I love this article. It is going to make you a better writer. So let me know in the chat, do any of you currently use Grammarly? And one thing you need to know, it is free. Grammarly is free. You're going to hear that all evening. I believe in providing you with free information. Now, I have the professional version of Grammarly, which is about $120 a year, but you don't need it. Kristen says, yes, she loves Grammarly. Definitely download Grammarly. Is free. You don't need the professional version, right? The free version will be fine for what you're doing. All right. Next, we're preparing, right? We're preparing to write. Get your documents in order. You need your EIN, your employer identification number. If and only if you're a nonprofit, you need your 501c3. Now, for profits, you need your certificate of incorporation, your bylaws, your state certification, even in nonprofits. And this is important. I always tell this story about the young lady who was on this webinar last year. And she said, Linda, you're so right, because I was applying for a grant. There was stiff competition. I was the only one that got the grant. Why? Because I had my state certification to say, this is my business license. and I'm legally able to do business in my state. So more homework for you. When we're done, go to your Secretary of State's website, Secretary of State, put in your information and make sure that you have a current business license, all right? Other documents, you need your board of directors list, you need your staff list. Also, you need letters of support. This is important because it will show the foundation who is supporting you. Who are you going to get letters from? Maybe your vendors, maybe your community partners, your pastor, right? Community leaders, politicians, someone in the community that knows your work, that knows that you are willing to do great work, you're fiscally responsible to handle a grant. So give yourself time though to gather those letters. That's why you want to do it before you even start writing that grant application, because you want to give your supporters time to write those letters. Also, some grants will ask for an audited financial statement. So if they do, just make sure you get that prepared. Now, a CPA will need to prepare your audited financial statement. Next, you want your current operating budget. Now, for those of you who have startups, or you just have a dream, you haven't even started the organization yet, you still need to create an operating budget. This is important. Why? Because you need to know how much money is going to cost to start your organization, right? And so when you create that starting budget, you can start to see the loopholes, right? Maybe you find out, okay, I have funding for marketing, but I don't have funding for the lease payment, or I don't have enough funding for enough staff people. So create that budget even when you're starting, because it will help you know where to apply for grant funding. So where you see that there are gaps, that's where you're going to start searching for grant funding. So make sure, even as a startup, you have your operating budget. Now, also, you want a list of other funding sources. This is important because no foundation wants to be the sole funder of your organization, right? Because we know grants are not guaranteed. And so if you get grant money one year, you may not get grant money in year two. And if that grant money is gone, that foundation doesn't want that on their backs, that, oh my gosh, if I don't give this person a grant, they're going to go under. That's why if you have any other funding sources, make sure you put them in the application. And it doesn't have to be money. Maybe it's an in-kind donation. Maybe someone provided volunteers to you. Make sure any other kind of support that you have is included in your application. All right, so you're prepared. Now, what do you write? We're going to go through the components of a typical grant application. Your summary abstract, your mission, vision, history, leadership, your organization description, your statement of need, description of your program. We're going to go through these one by one. And just so you know, there's a lot of information. I am recording everything, okay? So just know you're going to get a recording and a replay once we're done. So if your little hands can't write fast enough, don't worry about it. It's being recorded. Community partnerships, outputs, outcomes, impact, program, project staff, leadership, budget, sustainability. We're going to go through these one by one, starting with the summary abstract. So what do you need to know about this? Don't be fooled. It is the first component of a grant application. It's the first section you're going to see, but you always, always, always write it last. Why? Because you're going to include the most compelling components of that grant application. That is what goes into the summary. So while you see it first, always write it last. Next, your mission vision. Now, most of you should have a mission statement. But do you have a vision statement? And what's the difference? Well, the mission, that's what you're doing now. Those are your aims and your goals. But many applications will ask you for a vision. What is a vision statement? It's what you would like to have happen in the future if you are able to implement your mission. So think future, right? Now, back to the mission statement. This is critical. You have to align your mission with the mission of your potential funder. Right? Because if you are laser focused on providing veterans with information, you don't want to go to a funder that's geared towards K through 12 education. So make sure that your mission aligns with the mission of whatever organization that you are seeking funding from, which means you're going to have to do just a little bit of research on the foundation. All right, next section, the history. What you need to know is that every organization has a history. Many of you may be starting out and you may think, well, you know, this is new. I'm just starting out. I don't really have a history, but think about what was the impetus for you starting that organization, because that's part of history too, right? I always give an example of the retired principal. She's starting a tutoring organization. And you may think, well, this is brand new. What is her history? Well, she's a retired principal, right? She's been teaching in schools for the past 20 years. And when she was teaching, she saw that the students were behind in math and reading. So she decided to start this tutoring organization to increase their proficiency levels. So one of the impetus for her opening up this tutoring was the fact that she spent 20 years in K through 12 education. So that history becomes a part of the history of the founding of the organization. So just because you're new, don't think you don't have a history. Next to leadership, that's clear. That's typically your executive leadership, your COO, your CEO, but also include your board members because they're part of your leadership too. Next, you're going to describe your organization, right? So if you are a seasoned organization, you want to talk about your track record for working with whatever your target population is, whether it's students, whether it's veterans, whether it's the homeless. So talk about your success rate and your success factors. I mean, really get into why you began the organization, describe why you've been successful and how you will continue to be successful. And if you have experience with whatever the subject matter is, and again, that could be students, it could be the homeless, talk about what your experience is. For that particular principal, her experience was spending 20 years in K through 12 education, right? Okay, next, and this is really important because it's going to be on almost every single grant application you see, whether it's a nonprofit or for-profit, you need to talk about your statement of need. And here's what you need to know. What problem are you addressing? What issue are you trying to resolve? Because there is always a problem. So when you think about the work that you're doing, how are you addressing a problem that needs to be solved? I love to use the example of a bakery, like a for-profit bakery who wants to move into a downtown region. And, she makes cupcakes and cakes for a living. So you may think, well, what problem is she solving by making cupcakes? Well, several, right? First of all, she wants to move into a downtown location. The former residents in that particular location, they haven't been successful. So she wants to contribute to the economic development of her particular area by locating into that particular region. Her target market will be businesses in that downtown area that she's going to be serving, because as it is now, they don't have a really great upscale bakery so that they can maybe impress their clients by having, these fabulous baked goods, right? Always think about what you're doing in terms of solving a problem. Maybe you're a service-based organization. Maybe you provide career development services to those who've been recently fired, or maybe they quit their jobs. What problem are you solving? Well, you have very qualified people that are not in the job market that don't know where they want to go. They don't know if they want to go back to a 9-to-5, or they don't want to know whether or not they maybe want to be an entrepreneur. There's all that talent, right? That's not being utilized. That's the problem. So whatever you do, make sure you think of it as, how am I addressing an issue or resolving a problem, right? And whatever that problem is, you connect it back to the funder's areas of interest. This is how you seek the perfect funder, right? Because in the area of career development, if you research a funder, you know that they want to help those in the areas of career. That's your funder, right? But how do you find out a foundation's areas of interest, right? Because, and hear me out, 90% of foundations do not have a website. I'm going to say that again. 90% of foundations do not have a website. So how do you find out information about them? How do you find out what grants they have? How do you find out the people that you're going to send information to when 90% of foundations don't have a website? Well, get your cup of tea ready. I'm pouring more tea. What you want to do, look at the 990, right? What is a 990? The 990 is a tax document that foundations have to file with the Internal Revenue Service. It is their tax form. It is a wealth of information, right? Because it's going to give you the names of leadership, executive director, board members. But if you scroll down to the end of that 990, 95% of the time, there's going to be a list of organizations that they have donated to. And what you're going to do is look through that list to see if there's an organization that's close to what you do. So if you provide animals, right, for healing ministries, and you look at that 990, you see, okay, I found an organization that also provides dollars to maybe equestrian services, right? They're still using animals for the purposes of healing. Okay, that may be an organization that you want to submit a grant application to because you found a match there. Well, how do you get a 990? You can pay organizations to have access to their website so that they can give you the 990 of any 990 that's been filed, or you can go to this particular website. So Kelsey, if you could put this website into the chat, and again, it is free. You're going to hear that word, free. projects.propublica.org/nonprofits. So if you go to this website, you can literally download the nonprofit 990 of any organization. And you want to be able to use that organization to get information about the leadership, but also see if perhaps they're donating to organizations that are similar to yours, right? So another little cup of tea for you, projects.propublica.org/nonprofits. All right, moving right along. Target population. You're going to need to be able to answer this question. I was just speaking with a young lady this morning who was kind of struggling with her target population, because you need to decide, who are you helping? And listen to me, it cannot be everybody. It cannot be everybody. You need to decide who is your greatest target that would benefit from your resources the most. So who is going to benefit from your resources the most, right? What are the demographics? Maybe it's gender, maybe your services are geared towards women, maybe it's ethnicity, maybe you have a program or even a product or service that's geared towards African Americans, maybe it's income, maybe your program is geared towards those who live below the federal poverty line, maybe it's age, maybe you have curriculum for kids. You have to be able to identify who your target market is, because you're going to get that question on the grant application. So while you're doing research, let's go back to the bakery that wanted to relocate downtown. Well, she has to do her research and make sure that's the best place for her to locate. So what is she going to do? She's going to do research on geography. But one of the best places you can go to when you want stats about target markets and gender and ethnicity and geography, the US Census Fast Facts. Again, free. It's a free site by the US Census where they're going to give you so much incredible information about demographics. And I want to make sure, yep, that's put into the chat as well. All right, next. What we're really talking about now is storytelling, because you have to remember that grant application is a story that you're telling about your organization. And you have to remember, like, who is my audience? Who am I sharing my story to? Well, you're sharing your story with people who are in a position to give you funding. And that means you have to be persuasive when you tell your story. And this is why I say nobody can really tell your story better than you, because you've lived it oftentimes, you're ingrained in it. But something you want to remember when you are writing that application, you don't make yourself the hero of the application, right? It always has to be whatever your target is, whomever your target population is, keep them at the center of the story, not you. Why? Because the transformation happens with the target population. So let's go back to the principal, right? She has a tutoring company. She wants to tutor kids in K through 12 on math and reading. Well, the transformation is going to happen, not with her, but with the kids. Hopefully they're going to be able to read or do math at a great level proficiency, which means they might be able to graduate from school on time and maybe go to college or go take a trade or go to the armed services. The transformation happens within them, right? The career development young lady, right? The transformation happens with her clients who maybe now, after working with her, they know exactly what they want to do. They want to become an entrepreneur. They want to go back to the 9 to 5. The transformation happens with them. You may think, well, you were talking about the bakery. Where's that transformation, right? She's baking cupcakes. Well, you know what? She could ask one of her clients to taste the whether it's cake or cupcakes, and it may be the best cupcake they've ever tasted in their life, right? And she wants them to be able to talk about how, I mean, this is like a fantastic bakery. Or maybe one of her business clients will talk about how they feel like they've upped their business because now they have this incredible bakery. They can impress their clients, right? Always think about who you're serving, right, as those that are going to be transformed. You want to always keep in mind, talk about whatever the issue is that you are trying to resolve, and that's in that problem statement. All right. So again, who's telling your story the best? How are you changing lives? What is the outcome that you want to see achieved? What you're doing is you're appealing to people's emotions, right? And for those of you who have a website, on your homepage, all of you should have real examples of testimonials or case studies, right? Because it is so transformative. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a meeting with a foundation director or program manager, and we're going on and on and on about the organization, and then we show a video. 2 to 3 minutes, that's all it has to be. And you can see their faces change because of the testimonials that they're looking at. So all of you really need to think about making sure you have some type of video testimonials on the homepage of your website. And it doesn't have to be complicated, right? It could literally be, everybody knows, like I'm an Android person, whether you have an Android or an iPhone, literally have your clients talking to their phone for a minute or two and talk about the services that you've been able to provide for them and how their lives have been changed, and slap that video right up on the homepage. It's amazing how much interest those videos are going to generate for you. So again, it doesn't have to be expensive. Literally, it can be a minute video. If you want something professionally made, you can, maybe a group of testimonials, but it really shouldn't be more than 2 to 3 minutes max. All right, so now you have a decision to make. Are you going to ask for operating dollars or program project dollars? And what is the difference? Well, operating dollars means that when you get the grant money, you decide where to place it, right? Maybe you need IT, maybe you need marketing, maybe you need to pay for the lease on your building. You decide where you put money that you get for general operating expenses, which is also why only about 32% of foundations even provide it, because it's less controlled for them, because you get to decide where you put the money. Or you can ask for specific project dollars. Let's take the restaurant. Maybe she wants to start a delivery service. So that's going to be her project. So she's asking for money specifically to fund a delivery service, right? What you need to know is that you can apply for both. You should be applying for both at the same time. Too many people think, well, if I have a need, I can only apply for one grant. You have to apply for multiple grants, right? And something else. Did you know that you can apply to multiple grants through multiple foundations for the same project, right? So let's say the restaurant wants to ask for $50,000 to start a delivery service, and she's applying to Foundation A, right, for $50,000 because maybe she needs to bring on additional staff. She can also apply to Foundation B for the same $50,000 for the same project. What happens if she gets both, right? She gets $50,000 from Foundation A and 50 from Foundation B. What she's not going to do is give any money back, right? So now she has $100,000. So what does she do? She simply increases whatever the expenditures were going to be that she applied the money for. So let's say she said she's going to hire one person. Well, she has $100,000. Maybe she can hire 2 or 3 people, as long as it's in the same area for which she was asking the money. So just know, please, please, please know that you can apply to multiple foundations for the same project, but you should always be applying for multiple grants as well. All right. So next, we're on to, like, how do you write what you're writing? You're going to talk about the description of your project or your service, whatever it is, right? How or why have you been successful? If it's something new, why will you be successful? I got this question literally, I think it was this morning. A young lady wanted to know whether or not she needed to put in research based on a particular product that she wanted to use, a service that she wanted to provide, and it was going to be new. It was her first time using this particular service for her organization, and she wanted to know if she could include research that proved the success of using this particular product. And absolutely, that's what you have to do. Because if you're utilizing a service for the first time, but you know it has proven results, then you want to be able to include that research into your grant application that showcases, yes, this particular project or product has been proven successful in other areas, right? Always address the need, detail your activities, right? Again, provide that supporting research, but at the end of the day, always talk about how you are addressing an issue. Also include your timeline. That's important. If it's going to take you 6 months to complete, don't say it's just going to take 3 months. So give yourself a good amount of time. Now, this is critical, community partnerships. Too many nonprofits and for-profits think, well, to have a community partnership, there has to be money exchange. No, as a for-profit, you don't have to exchange money to be in a successful partnership. Don't think that you have to have some type of a contract where you're giving away a piece of your company. No, partnerships can look many different ways, but this is so important now because it is going to be on almost any grant application that you complete, whether you're nonprofit or for-profit. Organizations want to know that you're not trying to do this alone, right? That you are reaching out to community partners to help you implement whatever it is that you're wanting to implement, right? So what are some of the examples? Well, a partner could be maybe one of your third-party vendors, right? If you're a new organization, it is particularly helpful for you to partner with well-seasoned community organizations. I'll give you an example. I was working on a grant for an elementary school, a third grade class. They wanted to teach their third graders the violin, right? And it was an urban school, African-American school. And we were partnering with the Cleveland Orchestra, clearly one of the best orchestras in the world. And so they were going to come in and teach violin to these third graders. If you could imagine the small urban Black school partnering with one of the greatest orchestras in the world, that will give credence and authenticity to your grant application. So see how you can partner with other organizations in your community, such as the Urban League, HBCUs, civic organizations, Greek organizations, 100 Black Men of America, the Y, Boys and Girls Club, various Ohio Minority Supplier Development Council. There should be something similar in your particular state, right? Small business development centers. There's many different ways that you can partner. Let's take that bakery, right? She's going to partner with an event planner. So, for example, the event planner is going to provide flyers and recommendations for her clients to go to the bakery, and vice versa. The bakery is going to be able to provide flyers and information about the event planner, and they might be able to do some joint events. So look at how you can partner with organizations in your community, because that question is going to be on the grant application. All right, now we're talking about how do you show the funder what you're going to do with the money and that you're going to be successful. It's really called forecasting, and don't let that word be scary, because all you're doing is showing what you're doing with the money, what you think you're going to do with the money based on you getting the grant. So outputs, outcomes, and impact. Sometimes a grant will ask you for one. Sometimes the grant application will list all three. So I want to explain all three to you. So the outputs, that's simply, if you get the money, what's going to happen? What are you going to do once you get the money? What will be the immediate results? The outcomes usually happen sometimes 6 months to a year down the road. So what are the changes or activities that's going to happen as a result of you getting the money, as a result of those immediate outcomes? Now, impact usually happens, can be a year from now, can be 2 years from now. But again, it is what happens as a result of the outcomes. And the outcomes happen as a result of the output. So they stair step. I'll give you an example. A daycare center wanted $20,000 to open, right? So she's going to put in the grant application, look, if you give me the $20,000, this is what is going to happen. I'm going to open up a daycare center. I'm going to serve 100 families and 250 children. As a result of me opening, in 6 months, we're going to grow our capacity by 40% and add 24/7 services. So we're going to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, a year from now, as a result of us growing by 40% and having 24/7 services, this is what's going to happen. This is our impact. Well, 25% of the families that come to us will experience less stress. Why? Because they can drop their kids off 24/7. Who wouldn't experience less stress, okay? Also, 65% of our children will have demonstrated improved behavior, right? Because of our phenomenal program. Also, our daycare center, after a year, will expand to 2 locations. So this is how you talk about what the outcomes are going to be, given that you get the grant money, right? Now, here's another way that you're going to be asked, right, to talk about your outcomes. And many of you have heard of SMART goals before. What are they? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Let me show you how you can transition a regular goal into a SMART goal. So a regular goal can be, I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. Well, that's a huge goal, right? So no, that's not going to work. They want you to be specific. So what do? How do we change that? We can say, I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. So what did I do? How did I change the goal to the SMART goal? I added data and stats because what I wrote was specific. It was measurable because of the stats. It was attainable, 5 years. It was relevant. There is an issue with poverty with Hispanic children in Cleveland. And it was timely because it's going to be implemented now and you're given a 5-year time frame. So by adding data and stats to a regular goal, you can get a SMART goal. And how do you measure the results? By using assessment tools. So that particular principal with her tutoring organization, she can use the data of the math and reading tests for the students to show whether or not her tutoring worked, right? Or you can use something like SurveyMonkey. You can use JotForm to do surveys. The bakery, she can do surveys to her customers to find out how happy they are. She'll have revenues to be able to show whether or not she's getting the outcomes that she wants. So there's many ways in which you can prove that your organization is working, right? So again, how do you write? This is the section that talks about your staff, who's leading your projects. So many of you who own businesses, you have for-profits, you probably haven't written a bio, or a resume in years, where you are going to need to update your bio and update your resume. Why? Because you're going to have to submit that information with your grant application, right? Why? Why is it important? Because that funder wants to know that you're qualified, right, to operate this organization, right, or nonprofit, right? Not only are you submitting your bio and resume, but let's say you have someone who's going to oversee a part of your program or your service. You're going to need their bio and resume too. At the end of the day, it's about accountability and oversight. They want to make sure that the people that you're putting in place of these projects are qualified. Okay, now we're on to the budget. What you need to know about the budget is that you have to itemize your expenses, right? So if you're asking for $50,000 in salaries, you can't just say $50,000 and put it on a line item and that's it. You have to be specific. What is the $50,000 for? What salaries? Is it to pay an executive director a contract for a year? Is that half a year, right? Let's say you have program personnel. You can't just say, I need $10,000 for program personnel. Who are they? What are they doing? Are you paying them $20 an hour times X number of hours a week? So you have to be specific, right? And when you talk about how you're using the funding, you want to be specific as a part of the budget narrative, right? Because there you talk about how you're using the funding. But whatever you do, connect the money back to the goal of the program. So if you're asking for $50,000 to pay for your executive director, talk about how that executive director is going to be leading the program, right? Always align that money back to the goal of the program and just make sure your costs are reasonable. We know the cost of living in California is different than it is in Ohio. So you want to make sure that you're using reasonable costs based on where you reside. All right, so next, this is really interesting, sustainability. In other words, after the grant money is gone, how are you still going to survive, right? Because remember I said no foundation wants to be your sole source of funding. And we know grants are not guaranteed. So you got the money in year one. Well, how are you going to sustain that program or project in year two? Sometimes it's a little easier if you are a for-profit that you have some type of revenue stream, but if you're a nonprofit, how do you write in the application what you're going to do to keep that program moving along when there's no grant money? So I want to do a really quick little exercise here. I want you to think about that high school that got $20,000 for that tutoring program. Year one, fantastic, pay for everything. But in year two, the money's gone. There's no grant. This is a high school. I want you to put into the chat, how do you think a high school would be able to survive and pay for that tutoring program in year two when there's no grant? So put into the chat, think about a high school and how they would be able to write Tamara perfect, right? They're going to do fundraisers, right? Alicia says fundraisers, absolutely. What about a car wash, right? Charging tuition to fundraise, angel donors, absolutely. What about a talent show, right? What about some type of community service gala, right? Merchandise, Kenya, perfect, right? Merchandise, and maybe have a signature event. Allison says, this is fantastic. Reach out to the alumni. So you see how you have to be creative when you talk about, somebody said Krispy Kreme donuts. That's always a winner, right? Krispy Kreme donuts, absolutely. So think about, you have to be creative when you think about, how am I going to show in that grant application that just because I got the grant in year one and year two, how am I still going to sustain my program? You have to be creative and really talk about ways in which you're going to write these alternative fund development methods right into the application. All right, so I want to just really quickly talk about bid proposals, because many of you as for-profits, you're going to be bidding on contracts, whether it's with the city or county or state and sometimes federal. And I've taught workshops where I help people to complete that bid proposal. So really quickly, if you are thinking about bidding on some type of government contract, these are some keys you want to focus on. Focus on your capability, right? What has been your experience with similar jobs? What is your staff experience, right? Maybe they have great qualifications. You have to think about what is going to set you apart from your competitors. And maybe it is your experience. Maybe you've worked on 100 similar jobs in the past. Maybe your staff is highly qualified, right? Talk about how you can go above and beyond what is expected. Maybe it's the schedule. Maybe you can say, you know, look, I have been able to meet or beat my timelines for every contract I've ever worked on, right? What you don't want to do is underbid. Too often people think, well, if I go in and I give a really low bid, I'm going to get the job. No, that will backfire, right? Because if I'm a contractor and I release a bid to build a hospital wall, I have some idea what that hospital wall is going to cost. So if I'm thinking, I'm knowing it's going to cost about $1 million and you give me a bid for $50,000, one, I know you don't know what you're doing, right? You don't have the capacity, you don't have the capability, right? So what you want to do is really focus on areas that will set you apart from your competitors, including what I just mentioned here, maybe schedule, staff, or experience, right? Or you may be asked for a capability statement or capacity statement. What is it? That's like a promotional or marketing statement that really talks about what your capabilities and your skill sets are. So for those of you who are being asked for capability statements, please try to keep it to one page. If you have to go to 2 pages, just make it double-sided, use bullets. Again, focus on your core competencies, right? Your capabilities, differentiators, right? Including maybe facilities. Maybe you operate in a green facility. Okay, maybe you have state-of-the-art equipment. Always think about why you, right? Focus on your uniqueness. Again, past performance, or you want to include corporate data, including industry codes, and then any kind of information. So just wanted to talk really quickly about that. At the end of the day, this is about you getting noticed, right? You setting yourself apart from everybody else that's submitting a grant application. And as I mentioned to you before, this is so much about what you do before you write a single syllable, okay? It's the difference. But at the end of the day, you've got to change your mindset. Too many people come to grant writing thinking, oh, I can't do this. It's going to take too long. It's 500 pages. Let me tell you that grant writing has changed. So many for-profit grants, 2 pages, 3 pages. You don't have to worry about writing a dissertation to write a grant any longer, right? But what you need to know is that a community of support will matter. Please don't try to do this alone. Do this within a community of support where there's others like you who are also trying to secure grant funding. I know you want to position yourself for success. You want to help clients. You want to solve problems, right? Make the connection, research your funders, gain those partnerships, because a little bit of effort is going to equal absolutely to the equity that you need to get your funding. Because at the end of the day, when you get that grant money, it is worth it, right? You'll be able to open up your organization. Maybe you've had a dream to open it up, or maybe you can just operate successfully without having to bootstrap or, ask your family members for funds or go into your personal account. Maybe you can finally expand your operations. So at the end of the day, a little bit of effort will pay off. Now, if you take nothing else away from this webinar, this is a list of do's. And the first one I want you to absolutely understand and implement. Whatever you do, please, 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 always meet with the funder first before you submit that application. I've been in too many meetings with directors, foundation directors, leaders who say, look, if I have a stack of applications and no one has called me, tried to reach out to me, tried to meet with me about the grant, sent me an email, it's going in the trash, okay? Now that doesn't always happen. That's not every foundation, but don't take a chance. And some foundations, look, they don't want to meet with you. They just want you to fill out the application and send it in. But if you have the opportunity to meet with the funder, it is going to be worth it. A month ago, a client of mine set up a meeting. The foundation had never heard of them before, but he got that meeting done. And by the end of those 30 minutes, he walked away with $30,000, had never met with the funder before. That is how important it is to meet with the funder, because they're going to give you information in that meeting that I guarantee you is not on that foundation website. They're going to be able to talk to you about the grant that is not on the foundation website, and you're going to be able to share information with them that's not on your website. So there's nothing like meeting the funder first before you submit the application. Another do, please consider time management. We know grants are deadline driven, and when they say 4:59 is the due time, is 4:59. Address every question. This is important. So if there's a grant application where you come across a question that doesn't pertain to you, like never leave it blank. Because if you're using an online portal, the system, the software might reject your application because they saw that a question was left blank. So always put NA if it doesn't apply to you, unless the application specifically asks for you to leave a question blank. But if not, don't leave questions blank. Please do have external reviews of your application before you submit it. Again, no one wants to read an application full of grammatical errors. And we know, again, we love Grammarly, right? These are some don'ts. Look, I love a template. I love, love, love grant templates. But what you don't want to do is use cookie cutter answers based on a template, right? Templates are great, but you have to make sure you're answering the question. I do grant reviews, and I've seen some beautiful answers to the wrong question, right? I always read questions 3 times. Now, also, whatever you do, don't go into a foundation asking for too much money the first time, right? You don't want to do that. Now, some grants, they will tell you exactly how much money you're going to be applying for. But if it's like a community foundation, they won't tell you the amount of the grant. So you have to go in and let them know how much you want. Whatever you do, don't go in asking for like $100,000 because you're not going to get it. They don't know whether or not you're fiscally responsible. So I always recommend between $5,000 and $25,000 the first time you're asking for funding. And at the end of the day, we know you do not want to forget to edit. Grammarly, Grammarly, Grammarly. Now, how do you get to meet that particular funder? I talked about setting up that meeting with the funder, because let me tell you, it is as important as what you put in that grant application, that meeting. You want to create a letter of introduction, right? So you're introducing yourself to the foundation. So in that letter, you're putting your description, you're putting whatever need it is that you're addressing. You're putting how your mission aligns to the mission of the organization. You're not asking for money because this is not that kind of letter. The purpose of this letter is to get you into the door to meet with that funder, right? And the meeting could be, it doesn't have to be in person, it could be via Zoom. That's fine too. Now, how do you know who to send this letter to? The last thing you want to do is send any of these letters to like info@abcfoundation.org, because they're going to go into some vortex never to be seen again. You want the name of the person, right? Which we know we've gotten from the website or the 990, but you need the email address, right? You need the email address of this individual. How do you get the email address? People, I've been giving you tea. This is the teapot, okay? This software program is called getemail.io. It is the best thing since sliced bread. It will give you the email address of almost anybody working in any organization around the world. I use it several times a week, right? Just found emails from people that I needed to contact in Italy. It is phenomenal, okay? And for maybe the first, I think they give you like 10 or 15 emails for free. And then it is a monthly subscription. It's about $60 a month. So my advice to you is during that free trial, you grab as many emails as you possibly can, okay? Because this is a phenomenal resource. And again, they give you, 10 to 15 emails for free. So getemail.io is critical. Now we're going to talk about grant research. How do you find grants, right? These are the predominant portals that you use to search for grants. And either they give you the funder or they give you the actual grant application. The Foundation Directory Online, that is the leading source of information on grants in the US. Take a little sip of water. It's about $50 a month, right? So again, if you're on a budget, take that $50 and get as much information as you can. Now, what they're going to do is give you names of organizations that provide grants. Instrumental.com is a little bit more pricey. It's about $200 a month. They give you the 990, they give you the grant, they give you the funder, they give you a lot of information. But for most of you, I know this is going to be out of your budget. Grants.gov, we know, is the single source for federal grants. It, of course, is free. If you are a religious organization, you want to look at the Lilly Foundation. That's the largest funder of religious organizations in the country. You have educational funds. You want to go to grantgopher.com. I love grantwatch.com because they have a lot of really terrific last minute grants. Now, we're minority organizations. You need to know about urbanawareness.usa.org. It is minority owned, Black owned, and they will provide many, many grants that are geared towards Black-led organizations. So you want to definitely be aware of urbanawareness.usa.org. Now, what do you do when you have a grant portal? How do you get the grant information? So I'm going to take a look at grantwatch.com. But for any of these grant portals, you're going to put in information about yourself. Are you a business, nonprofit, or maybe you're an individual? You want to put in the location. Are you looking to get grants from local organizations that fund locally or that fund nationally? What type of grant are you looking for? Maybe you're looking for a federal grant. Maybe you're just looking for grants from foundations. Maybe you're looking for grants for businesses. The location of the grantor. Again, do you want that grant to be located where you are or located elsewhere? Again, who is your target population, right? What is the subject? I know I have some fashion houses and fashion designers on the website, on the webinar here. That's arts and culture. Or is it education? If it's career development, that would be business and industry. So you're going to put all of this information right into the grant portal. This is the homepage of grantwatch.com, for example. You see in the middle, you check off nonprofit, business, individuals, and then in the left, that's where you really put in your filters. And so after you put in all of your filters based on who you are, what you're looking for, you literally hit a button and up comes a list of grants that you can apply to. So it becomes really simple, all right? So I want to give you a few organizations that you need to be researching. In addition to those grant portals, these are organizations, the grant portals that I told you, those are search engines, right? They give you information on multiple companies that provide grants, but these are specific organizations that provide grants for Black-owned companies or Black-led nonprofits. So we know that the Department of Transportation has their Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. Facebook has a grant for Black creators. National Association for the Self-Employed has growth grants. Minority Business Development Agency. FedEx has a phenomenal program that they really like to give money towards minority organizations. SBIR, Northwestern Mutual Black Founder Accelerator. I put in Amarillo because so many of you think that if you don't have a staff, you can't get grant money. Well, that's not true. Amarillo specifically gives grants to either small nonprofits or all volunteer nonprofits. So don't think you need 1099 workers or W-2 employees to get grant money. You don't. The Mustard Seed Foundation gives exclusively for faith-based organizations. Don't think because you're a church or you're faith-based that you can't get money. There's millions of dollars available. The Harlem Capital Fund is available. Lilly Foundation, specifically, I mentioned before that they're the largest funder of faith-based organizations. They actually have I think it's a $22 million grant right now where they are funding Black churches and also HBCUs, and there's going to be a link there. So keep in mind, you're going to get a replay. Now, many of you are startups. You have not yet even begun your organization. You have a vision, you have a budget. Yes, there are grants for you. There are grants for startups, and this is just one, right? So this is one particular grant that is geared towards startups. Sky'sthelimit.org is what it's called. All right, so for my Black female founders, right? You need to know about helloalice.com. It is the largest portal of grants that is geared towards women-led for-profit organizations. And so many of these grants are earmarked for Black-owned organizations. But again, Hello Alice, that's just for your women entrepreneurs. Also, the Fearless Fund and MasterCard, that is geared towards women, Black women entrepreneurs. The Visa She's Next for Black women business owners is a Visa grant. Kickstarter and the Skull Foundation has a new grant that is geared towards female owners. The Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women grant, that is geared towards Black women-led nonprofits. Cartier has a grant where they offer regional awards, and they have been awarding, quite a few minority organizations. The Amber Grants for Women, they give $25,000 every single month, and many, many, many of their grantees are Black women-owned organizations. If you have any programs or projects in the area of health and well-being, you definitely want to go to the Women's Sport Foundation, because they have actually a number of programs, a number of grants that are geared towards women-led organizations. All right. Next, I want you to put into the chat, we're coming to the end, don't go anywhere. Tell me in the chat, when you think about banks and money, what do you think about? So quickly in the chat, tell me what you think about when you think about banks and money, banks and money, banks and money. Terry is asking, any Black women in tech? There are so many grants for Black women in tech. All right, so people think about loans, checking a loan's interest. Yes, excessive interest. They use your money, loans, interest rates. Well, did you know that banks are some of the largest providers of grant money, not loans, grant money? Millions and millions of dollars in grants are provided by banks. You just haven't been going to the right people, right? It's not going to be your loan officer, because what do they want to do? They want to give you a loan. It's typically not going to be your branch manager, because they may not even know about the grants that are available, or they're going to try to get you to take out a loan. You have to go to, for example, your vice president that's in the area. So you want to make sure the bank has a great presence in your area. And if they do, there's typically a vice president over the region, or vice president of community investment or community foundations. So make sure you seek out a vice president. I was giving this webinar last year, and a young lady, heard the presentation, and afterwards she found a bank that had a really great footprint in her community. and she applied for like a $2.3 million grant, not loan, grant. So don't sleep on banks, okay? They literally provide millions of dollars in grant funding. You just, again, have to do a little bit of research to find out what bank is in your area that's providing funding. Now, thank you so much. I'm so glad you stayed until the end, because don't go anywhere. We have a very robust Q&A. I'm going to answer every single question that you have. But what I want you to know is that I have been writing grants again for over 14 years now. And what I've wanted to do was really help organizations secure funding. And I can only do so much of that, writing one grant at a time. So what I wanted to do was really create a product that was going to help you secure grants. And that's what I did. I created literally an online grant writing course that is easy and simple. When I tell you, I created something that is the exact path that I use to secure over $17 million, right? And so with my online course, you get the course, but most importantly, you get me as your coach, because I want to make sure you're successful. So this is going to give you that step-by-step path to funding, because I want you to be impactful. I want you to be able to fulfill the mission without, again, always using your personal finances, bootstrapping, asking people for money. You saw that the grants are available, $90 billion, right? The money is there. And so think about, like, what could you do with $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, right? You'll finally be able to either start your organization, fund your organization, right? And stop bootstrapping. But what I don't want you to do is think that you have to do this by yourself, that you have to do this alone, right? Because it's going to be better and faster if you work within a community than trying to do it alone, right? This program literally can cut your research and writing time in half. And remember, I said you don't have to worry about 200-page documents anymore. So many of those for-profit grants, 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, right? And you don't have to worry about, is there a grant for? Like, the guesswork has been taken out. Everything that you need is going to be in this course, but this time you're going to be able to find grants using like the right method, the same method I've used to secure over $17 million, because I'm giving you literally the best grant research techniques, right? So it's important, remember, to find a funder who literally wants to give you money. There are organizations waiting for someone like you, but you have to be able to find out who they are. But in addition, of course, I'm going to teach you how to write every single part of that narrative. And there's so many parts that we didn't even talk about, right? You'll be able to write grants without paying a grant writer, and that's key, because again, nobody's going to tell your story like you. Remember, I said a little bit of effort is going to equal the equity that you want, but again, don't go it alone, please. So what do you get in my course? 12 modules, over 35 lessons. Like, I know people learn differently, so I always start with a video because I want this to be simple for you. So I start with the video, and then I give you a little lesson, right? So if I'm asking you, write about the history of your organization, it's exciting, right? Because you get to write about what you love and what your passion is. I have homework for you to do so that you're writing again about your organization. And it's not for me, it's for you. But to keep you on track, I have planners, I have workbooks, I have these really fun, silly quizzes, but I also have, to make it easy for you, real grant examples, right? So every example in this course, I wrote myself, and it won money. So every single example that I give you won money. So if I'm asking you, okay, now I want you to write about your target audience, I'm going to give you a piece of a grant where I wrote about the target audience so that you see right in front of you how it's done, okay? I make it easy, I make it simple, but I also do something that I guarantee you no one else is doing. You can pay $1,500 to go to an online weekend course, and after it's done, you have access to no one. I am giving you literally a list of over 450 funders. And I just uploaded, I think it may be uploading now, a new source that has over 50 organizations that just provide grants to entrepreneurs. So when you're done getting through the course, you're ready to get grants, because now is the time. Like, I don't want you to wait. I want you to be ready, but I give you support. I'm not one of those leaders where you take my course and I disappear. I don't believe in that, right? So I have a private Facebook group. If anybody is in this group, give this group a shout out, because they are phenomenal. I have professional grant writers in the group. So if you are writing a grant and you want someone to just maybe look at it in the Facebook group, I have people in there saying, let me know when you can send me that particular component. I'll be happy to look at it for you, because it's support. Again, I don't want you to do this on your own. And I'm in there all the time. Like, I'm in there in the Facebook group almost every day, just seeing if I can answer questions. Plus, I'm always putting new grants into the Facebook group, right? So it's such a community. If there are grant writers in there that maybe they're an accounting organization, they connect and network with other accounting organizations that's in the group, and they meet up and they work on grants together. It's phenomenal. In addition to all of this, you get 1 hour of group coaching every single month. Remember, I said, I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm not going to leave you alone, right? Come to the Facebook group, plus 1 hour of group coaching. I just had the 1 hour session last night, and it was phenomenal, because you get help. Like, I'm here to help you. I'm a woman of faith. I've always considered myself to be a servant leader. I am literally here to help you. So what are we talking about in terms of cost? I've had this course audited 3 times. Don't go anywhere, because I have a crazy offer for you. I've had the course audited 3 times. It's worth $4,999. Just the modules and the 35 lessons alone are worth $35.49. Those introductory videos that I give you, they're worth $599. Just a list of funders, right? $500. Plus, I give you literally grant trackers. You know how important it is to track your progress. And then the planners, absolutely, that's worth $350. But this is what you pay. The regular price is $997. I typically keep my course on sale for $497. So most of the time you'll see it for $497. That's like the regular price. But you know what? Hello, this is February 1st. So what are we in? This is Black History Month. So this I'm truly doing for the culture. Okay. 3 days only. 3 days only. You're not paying $497, right? You're literally paying one payment of $197. That's not monthly. Most people think it's $197 a month. No. One payment for $197, and that's it. But that's only for 3 days. That's 60% off, right? That's the deal. You have to use the code if you want to make the one payment. The code is FEB60OFF, right? You have to use the code in order to get, yes, dang, Alexa says, yes, that's a dang good price. That is a dang good price, right? Because literally, look, people pay $497 for the course. So let me just say that to you. They pay $497, but next 3 days, you're with me, so I know you need help, right? You came here for a reason, right? So I want to be able to help you. So for the next 3 days, literally, you get 60% off, right? Now, and I have never done this before, but again, it's Black History Month. I want you to win, okay? Let's say you don't have the $197. You can split it up in 2 payments, right? For two different payments, right? And actually, this is going to be, I think I have it over the course of, I believe this is over the course of 2 months, right? 2 months. So if you don't have the $197 one payment, you literally can split the payment up over the course of 2 months. Is $115 a month, right? You don't need a code. So this is where I want you to understand. You don't need a code if you decide to make 2 different payments. You only need the code if you decide to make the one payment, because when you go into the portal, it's going to say $497. So if you have the $197, you want to make one payment, use my code, it will take $300 off. You're only paying $197 for the one payment. You want 2 payments? That's perfectly okay. $115 a month for 2 months. Now, what you need to know about this course, look, I know life happens, right? We're entrepreneurs, we lead nonprofits. The course never expires. I don't want to put you into a position where You start the course, you can't finish the course. 2 months from now, something happens, you can't finish. 2 weeks from now, something happens, you can't finish, and your money's gone. No, I don't believe in that. Again, I am truly here to serve you. The course never expires, right? So you need to know that. This course never expires. So what do you have? At the end of the 12 modules, you have literally written a complete grant proposal that you can use for your future grant applications. And what's so amazing is that I give you grants. I literally give you a list of 450 companies, organizations, foundations that are providing the opportunity. So I want to make sure that the link is put into the chat, right? So the link is put, yes, it's very, very exciting, right? It's very exciting. So the link is in the chat. When you go into the portal, this is what you're going to see. So I want to make sure it's not confusing. This is everything you get, right? You get the 12 modules, you get the 30 lessons. Actually, it's way over 35 now. You get the instructional videos, you get the planners, we didn't even talk about the letter of inquiry, right? We didn't even talk about that. It is a self-paced course. That's important. It's online, self-paced. So you're not waiting for me like to lead you on. You go at your own pace because people learn differently. I'm so mindful. I worked in education for many years. I'm so mindful that people learn differently. So you go at your own pace. It's self-paced. It never expires. You have your winning grant examples, right? You have your basic writing techniques. You have all these lessons to get you this money. We know the money is there. So again, one payment for $197, use the code FEB60OFF is going to take $300 off the $497. Or if you need to pay over the course of 2 months, you pay over the course of 2 months. You don't need a code, and it's $115. But whatever you do, please take advantage of this. It's going to expire on Saturday. I don't want people to get mad at me. People get mad at me because they do this after the deadline and they still want the amount. I'm giving you a bottom basement, lowest price I have for you so that you can get started. When you go into the link, this is what you're going to see. So you can either choose $497 and hit purchase, and then you're going to put in the code, or you can hit 2 payments of $115, and then you won't need a code. So this is what it's going to look like. And this particular page will come up if you are just paying the $197. See here on the right-hand side, it says have a coupon. That's where you put the coupon code, and immediately it will take the $300 off and it'll be the $197. So why is this important right now? Why is it important that you do this now? Besides the accountability, you need to be ready for 2023, right? We're already in February, and what you need to know is that so many funders, their funds are gone after the first quarter. Like they have money in January, February, March, sometimes April. Walmart will tell you this. They will say, if you want money from us, you have to provide that application as soon after January 1st as possible. Verizon is the same way, right? A lot of their funds are used up by the end of the second quarter. So you want to do this now, like do not wait. I want you to be able to do the learning, come get the coaching, and literally people start applying for grants right away. I don't want funds to be exhausted. Remember I said at the very beginning, there's money available to Black organizations because of George Floyd, because of COVID. What I can't say is how long that money is going to be available, because I don't know. I know the money is available now, and I want you to be able to get some of it, okay? We know the program works. Literally a month ago, a young lady, she was in the program. She literally wrote a grant for a colleague that was approved for $75,000. And then she was able to write a grant for her own company where she was able to get funding, being able to meet with the funder, using the components that's laid out. Again, another funder literally a few weeks ago met with the funder, was able to get a total of $35,000. So if you follow the process, it works. This is the same process I've used to secure over $17 million. Kim says, Linda Peavy is a master grant writing guru. Carla says, again, it's a very easy to understand course. I want you to be successful. Kelly was the one who got $75,000 for her colleague in free money, and then literally wrote a grant for herself. And Brian received $30,000 in grant money, again, using these resources. So enroll now. Please don't wait, because I don't want you to forget. I don't want you to forget. You have the link, okay? So I want you to enroll. I'm here as a source. You're getting the coaching. I'm here to help you, because people, it's time to get this money. I mean, what I don't want you to do is be in this same situation a month from now. That is what I don't want. I don't know how long this money is going to be available that's been set aside for Black organizations, for women-led organizations. I don't know. I want you to be able to put yourself in the position to get the money. And please don't think you're going to be writing 200-page documents. That's just not grant writing any longer. It's just not. Literally, so many of these applications, 2, 3, 4 pages, okay? So don't be afraid. You can do this. I give you step-by-step easy instructions to do, and then I'm here to help. I serve as your coach. All right, so we are going to start with the Q&A. What we're going to do, thank you, Tamara, thank you so much. So Allison says, is the payment for just a year or is it ongoing? That is such a good question, Allison. Allison, I hope you're sitting down, because that's it. It's just one payment. The course is forever. The course never expires. I know people think this is a monthly amount, like they pay $197 a month. No, it's $197, period. That's it. You're done. You get the course forever. I don't shut the course down in a year. The course is forever. When I say I want to serve you, I want to serve you. I want you to get this money. Because I know you're passionate about what you do. I know you have a vision for what you want to do, and you need money to do it. And I tell you, I get so frustrated hearing from scammers and people who've been scammed by so-called grant writers. There's a difference between a professional grant writer and somebody who writes grants. So if somebody is telling you, oh, just give me $50, I'll write 3 grants for you, I want you to turn around and run like Forrest, run the other way, okay? Because no. I don't want you to be scammed. That's why I want you to have the knowledge for yourself. And this grant writing course is going to do that for you. Even if you decide to hire a grant writer, the course will let you know what questions that grant writer should be asking you. I've heard so many horror stories about people hiring grant writers, and then they never ask them any questions, right? And then they submit an application, it gets rejected. They literally never hear from the person again. You need to know the information that should go into your grant application, right? So again, it's amazing because I have people who literally have taken this course and become professional grant writers. It's 360 degrees. It's amazing what they've done, but I want you to understand how simple it is. I'm giving you the basics, right? So that you can be successful. All right, so let me go to the Q&A. All right. So, okay, my nonprofit is supporting rural farmers internationally. That's a great question. So when you go into grantwatch.com, for example, again, I love GrantWatch. When you start searching, even though you're here in the US, you can literally put the location of where the money is going to be applied. So if it's an international location, you can hit international. So yes, you're going to be provided with funders who give money and have open grant applications to those organizations that fund communities abroad. So don't think because you're serving an international community that you can't get grant funding. That's what I teach you in the course, is how to research for grants. Doesn't matter whether or not your target market is here or abroad. So can we use this grant info for LLCs, or is this only for nonprofit and for-profit businesses? So an LLC is a for-profit, okay? So an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation, that is a for-profit business, right? So either you have a nonprofit or for-profit. This course, it doesn't matter, it's for both. If you have a nonprofit, there's information that you can use for your nonprofit. I have many, many for-profits that take the course. There's information that you use for for-profit, because so many of the questions that I ask you in this course, you're going to need for that for-profit business. Like, what are you using the funds for? You're going to have to know that answer, right? So just keep in mind, an LLC is a for-profit. Have you seen successful outcomes with cosmetology in the beauty industry? Not only have I seen successful outcomes, but many years ago, one of my clients was a beauty academy, a Black-owned beauty academy here in the Cleveland area. And I was able to get her funding from a bank, right? And from one of the local community foundations. Please don't sleep on community foundations, right? Don't think that just because you have a for-profit, you can't get funding. There are community foundations that will fund you as a for-profit organization. I want to be clear about that, right? So yes, absolutely, there's funding available for cosmetology and the beauty industry. So does being a sole proprietor / solopreneur negatively affect chances of getting funding? Not necessarily. So it's not so much whether or not you're a sole proprietor, it's how have you organized your organization, right? Do you have the ability and the capability of running your business, right? Do you have people that work for you? It doesn't matter if they're volunteers or not. Remember, I showed you funders that provide to organizations that have an all volunteer staff. So those organizations could be sole proprietors. So it's not so much the designation, it is the service that you're providing, the project that you're providing, right? Because you're going to be looking for organizations that fund your particular niche, right? So let's say you're a sole proprietor, right? And you have an organization that helps veterans. Maybe you train them on soft skills, or you train them how to interview, right, for jobs. It's not going to matter that you're a sole proprietor. Is your program successful? You know, how many veterans have you helped? Do you have people on your staff? Again, they could be interns, they could be all volunteers to help support those veterans, right? So it's more about how well you're operating, your impact, who you're serving, okay? I also have a nonprofit. We do storytelling. So what type of stories are you telling? Who's your target market? So that's really broad. You do storytelling to who, right? Because you need to know who that target is, because that's going to help you decide where to look for grant funding, right? So maybe in your storytelling, maybe it's intergenerational. Maybe you have grandmothers that go into schools and tell stories to young kids, right? You may be able to apply for a grant that gives funding to organizations that support senior citizens, right? So it all depends on what are you doing with the storytelling, right? So Tracy says, best funding for Black women, veteran-owned, for-profit business. What if your business is considered a luxury service business? Again, who are you serving? Is it making a difference? There are organizations that are getting funding based on who they're serving, how they're serving. There's no quote unquote best funding for Black women, veteran-owned, for-profit businesses. You have to search, you have to do the grant research, right? So if you're veteran-owned, that's a whole different opportunity, right, for you to get money, because there are organizations, right, that only give funding to veteran-owned organizations, right? And it doesn't matter if you are nonprofit or for-profit. This is why the grant research that you do is so important. Many people ask, is there a grant for? There's a grant for almost anything that you can imagine, but you have to find them, right? And that means doing the due diligence in your grant research, right? All right, so right, the discount code space should be on the checkout, right? So when you check out, I showed you the page, you're going to look for the discount code. Okay, you're going to look for where you put the discount code. As a matter of fact, let me just go back to the PowerPoint. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Let me see. Okay, let me share I want to show you where it is. All right, so let's go back. I think this is the right screen here. All right. So when you go to the checkout page, okay. I hope you can see the screen. You want to look for a little question that says have a coupon. You hit that, and then you put in the coupon code, and it should immediately take off $300, and you'll pay the $197 immediately. If for any reason it doesn't happen and you pay the $497, we literally refund you immediately the $300. So don't worry about it if it happens, right? Yes, it is fantastic. So access to the Facebook group, yes. So so many leaders and instructors, they charge for everything. Like, I'm not going to charge you for access to the Facebook group because you get help in the Facebook group. I'm here to help you. And in the Facebook group, I'm telling you, it is incredible. So once you buy the course, you get access to the Facebook group. And once you get into the Facebook group, there are people within that group that will help you, right? Because they're at all different kinds of levels. There's professional grant writers, right? You ask a question, I'm there to answer. Other people in the group are there to answer. Again, do this within a community. Please don't do this by yourself, right? Don't go it alone. Please don't do this alone. It's a small amount of money for you to pay just for access, right? Just to be able to ask questions, right? In the Facebook group. And then I give you a month of free group coaching every month. There's group coaching that I give to you because I don't want you to do this alone. But also, whatever you do, please don't be in the same situation a month from now. I'm here to help you. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for you. It's $197, which, by the way, is tax deductible. Okay. So that's it. That's like the last excuse is tax deductible because this is an educational expense, right? You're learning online, and at the end of the course, you will get a certificate. Okay. So do this, like do this for you. Sometimes you have to invest in yourself in order to really get to where you're going. You cannot do the same thing that you've been doing to get to where you want to go. We all know that doesn't work. Like if you're spinning your wheels, you keep hearing about these grants, you want to know where these grants are, you cannot do the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results. Like we're here, we're a community that's here to help you. So please, please, please do this for yourself. It's the start of Black History Month, right? I'm doing this for the culture. I want you to do this for yourself. It is a small amount. People pay so far more for the course, and they do pay more for the course. That's why I give you 3 days, right? 3 days. And please believe me, in 3 days, the price will be $497. Okay. The coupon will be gone. So you have the opportunity. Let me make sure there aren't any more questions. All right. So I'm going to go over to the chat because there were some questions in the chat. All right. So at this point, I've got like 32 people left. You know what I want you to do? Because now is the time. Okay. I want you to put into this chat, I'm ready to get grant money. Like sometimes you have to speak things into the universe, right? I'm ready to get grant money. I want you to put it into the chat. I'm ready to get grant money. So everybody, speak it, speak it, speak it, speak it. I'm ready to get grant money. I want you to put that into the chat while I see if there are any more questions, Yes, that is a phenomenal price, Alexis, a phenomenal price. So the PowerPoint is not available because so much of the information I have is copywritten, but you will get a replay of this entire webinar, including the chat, right? Because so much information is given in the chat. And oftentimes, like people just give you like the recording of the video and that's it. Again, I want to give you as much information as I possibly can for free. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Can you not believe that banks give out grants? Yes, they do. All right. Yes, so absolutely, you get a replay. Yes, it's $197. That's one payment. That's not a month. It's one payment. Or if you don't have the $197, literally you can get started for $115. And when you put in the 2 payments for $115, you get access. Like you don't have to wait until you make the second payment You know how sometimes there used to be something called layaway years ago, and you had to wait until you paid to get the goods. No, you make your one payment of $115. Look at what you're getting, people. Look at what you're getting. And that's it. You will be invoiced the next payment. It'll come off of whatever form of payment that you give, but you make the 115, you have access to everything. And then the next month you'll be billed or you'll be charged at 115. But the issue is you start right away, because I don't want you to be in the same position. Like, no. A month from now, no. All right, so more questions. So thank you so much. This is exciting, isn't it? Because I'm giving you the opportunity to get funding. This is free money. This is free money. Yes, Samuel, yes, definitely by Saturday. Please don't let this go by. Are there specific grants for disabled veterans? There are not only specific grants for disabled veterans, there are grants for organizations that serve disabled veterans, plus there are grants for organizations that are led by disabled veterans. So you have a phenomenal opportunity to get grant money. Let me just say that, because I used to work, one of my clients was a veterans organization, and oh my gosh, the money is out there. So Terry, did you find out where to put the code? So are the classes daily? These are not daily classes. This is an online course. So you decide when you go in to take module by module by module. This is self-paced, right? Because you have to decide when you have time to go in and take the courses. So this way you don't worry about missing anything. You don't worry about not being there for a course. All of the courses are there. You go through them course by course. I give you instructions. I give you video instructions. If you have any questions, right, you come into the Facebook group or you come to the live group coaching, right? Yes, Terry is ready to get grant money. Allison, Angel, is it Kayana, Tamara, Samuel, Tracy, Bertina, Allison, Gwen, yes. You ready to get grant money? Yes. So I think I can't tell the full name. So this is to get you the course, right? For $197, you're not going to get someone to write grants for you. This is just for the course, right? That will teach you how to write grants. You will still need, if you need someone to write grants for you, you can still hire someone to write grants for you, but they will learn and they will know what to do because of the course, right? Debit or credit card, or PayPal, debit or credit card or PayPal. Is the course accessible via mobile or tablets? Absolutely. So the course is housed on a platform called Thinkific. Thinkific is one of the largest online platforms for teaching and for courses. So your telephone, tablet, laptop, PC, it doesn't matter. Thank you, Kayana, for being here. Thank you. All right, Terry, let's show some love for Terry. Terry just purchased the course. Yes. Thank you so much for putting the information in there. Tanya, yes. Let's see some claps for Tanya. Absolutely. Thank you, Tanya. So this is what I want to see. I want to see people ready, really ready to get the money. I don't want you to be on the sidelines anymore. What you're going to do, you get 3 emails when you join. 1 email is a welcome. Look for the Facebook group link because you can request access to the Facebook group. The second email is going to have your account information. So you go on and you create an account, right? You create an account and a password, and you have access immediately. Like, you're not waiting for me. You have access immediately. And then you're going to have a third email that includes a welcome as well. So you're going to get one of those emails that will give you access to the Facebook group, but don't worry, because afterwards we go in and we make sure that everybody that has joined, we sometimes send out, if you haven't already joined, you haven't clicked to join, we will send out an invitation for you to join the Facebook group. Excuse me. Hey, Angel, everybody give some claps to Angel. I think that's Angel. Unfortunately, Zoom will they only give you like 5 letters. So I don't know if that's Angel or Angela. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Yes, so Terry says the platform is easy to use via mobile. So I'm glad you must be familiar with Thinkific. Thinkific is super easy. So again, mobile, the way Thinkific is set up, it's literally optimized for mobile devices, right? So that becomes really important. So tablet, laptop, mobile, PC, doesn't matter. You can take the course. All right, Sam's going to purchase tomorrow. It's Angel. Thank you, Angel. Terry says, I use Moodle for my learning management software. So Thinkific. So what I want to do now for everyone, you're going to get the replay. So I want to make absolutely sure that this replay is not going to go to your spam folder. So I want you to put both of these email addresses into your safe senders list in your email, regardless what it is, whether it's Gmail, Yahoo, or whatever. It's lpv@lepov.com, and then it's hello@grantwritingfornonwriters.com. So I want to make sure you put these emails into your safe senders list, because I really don't want this replay going into your spam. I want you to be able to get the replay, right? And so I think those are all the questions that we have. I went through the Q&A in the Q&A section. Let me make sure. Yep. And then I went through the Q&A in the webinar. Excellent, excellent. And so I'm so hoping to see you in the Facebook group and in the group chat. You'll get the upcoming date that will be in February for the group chat, because you know what? It's Black History Month. It's time to celebrate us. I want you to get the money. I want you to be able to spend just a little bit of money to be able to get a lot of money, because as you can see, the money is there. And when you go to the Facebook group, you're going to see the testimonials, right? Of people who are people that look like you and me, right? We're getting grant money every day. Every day. This is not some far off notion. And like, I don't know anybody getting grant money. Come into the grant group, come into the Facebook group. There are testimonials of people who are getting grant funding who look just like you and me, right? Black-owned organizations, Black-led nonprofits, Black-owned businesses. They're getting free grant money, free. So thank you so much. Look for the replay either tonight or tomorrow, but just make sure you have those emails in your safe senders list, because that becomes important. So what I don't want you to do is wait beyond Saturday, because you'll be paying $497, and I don't want you to do that. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been great. If you have any questions, I gave you, that's my direct email address, lpv@lepov.com. Just send me any questions that you have about the course, about using the course, what the course will do, testimonials, the best way to go about doing the grant research. Just send me a question, right, about the course, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. But until then, hopefully I will see you in the Facebook group. I'll see you in the group chat that we have once a month. It's group coaching, where we come in and you introduce yourself, and any issues or problems that you have, we try to help you solve it. We had a fantastic one yesterday. So again, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it. You could have been anywhere else tonight and you chose to be here. That's why you're getting this fabulous discount. So thank you so much. I'm Linda Peavy. I am the founder of the grant writing course, Grant Writing for Non-Writers. He's the winning grant proposals and the founder of Lepov Consulting. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Have a blessed evening. And hopefully I'll see you soon. And hopefully I'll see you inside the course. Bye-bye.